Welcome to another episode of Homerik. Today we're going to talk about something really interesting. I've always been fascinated by monsters, and you've seen videos on my channel that express, no doubt, exactly that. Today I want to talk about a very specific monster who's actually regarded as a god in Greek mythology. This is Typhon. He's also known as the father of all monsters. Now, just a little bit of backstory to Typhon. Typhon is, as I've stated, the father of all monsters. But Typhon has also been regarded as probably, if not the most powerful, and certainly the most fearsome god of all Greek mythology. Now, why is that? Well, not only was Typhon revered by all of humanity as being this loathsome creature, but even the gods, and even Zeus himself, feared Typhon. Typhon is the child of Mother Gaia and Father Tartarus. Tartarus being, of course, the bottomless pit that we know of as, in a sense, hell. So how did Typhon come to be? So story has it that the goddess Hera wanted to find a way to make a more powerful god than Zeus himself, her husband. Zeus is, of course, this very, I guess you could say, confident god who really thinks he knows everything and all there is to do with human life and playing with his toys and all this kind of nonsense. And Hera had enough. So Hera had convinced Gaia and Tartarus to come together and create a child. This child would become a monstrosity that even Hera herself would regret. Now, as Typhon grew more powerful and grew up, he became married to his wife, Echidna. Echidna is also known as the she-viper, and in other mythologies, you might know as echidnas as being related to vampires. So, Typhon and Echidna, they, of course, had their own children. These children would be the famous monsters that we have seen in many myths and legends, like Cerberus, the Chimera, Orpheus, the Sphinx, and many more, even the Hydra. So the story goes like this. Typhon was sent to Earth to get rid of Zeus. In a sense, overthrow his confident seat on comfortable Mount Olympus. So what happened? Well, all the gods scurried away the moment they saw Typhon, a hideous beast, which we'll get into in a moment. But all the gods scurried away and only left Zeus, Athena, and Dionysus. However, Zeus was very much unprepared for this fight. Typhon being so powerful, really a son of the protogenoi. Zeus was completely taken aback, unseated, and locked away in a place where Typhon could rip out his tendons and torture him. You can only imagine that all the other gods were like, no! I would be too. Typhon was known to have been so tall, his head could touch the stars. He was a volcanic demon that was able to wield fire. He had the torso of a man, and his legs were vipers. that hissed and attacked anything that came near it. His head, very much like another beast known as Medusa, had hundreds of different animals and their heads, all creating the sounds of every animal that could have been existing on that earth. You can only imagine the cacophony of that sound coming from Typhon's own hair. His eyes would glow red, and his jaw was savage that would breathe fire. His body had many, many, many wings, hundreds you would even say. And his hands were made up of vipers with dragon heads. He was covered in soot, black soot from head to toe, and very much looked like the night. So as the gods feared Typhon, it was Athena, the warrior goddess, who stood up and helped Zeus along with Pan and Hermes. Pan and Hermes were able to snatch Zeus away from Typhon's claws so that Zeus and his powers could heal back together. Thankfully for his immortality. Typhon was so upset, it is said that his battle against the gods ensued for 10,000 years. Typhon was so upset, he would battle Zeus by throwing mountains and destroying cities. It was almost as if you could say Typhon was the Godzilla of Greek mythology. The Olympians, again, were so fearful of this god that they even transformed into their animal forms and ran away. And Zeus, of course, having been scarred by this beast, this monstrosity, even he cowered in fear. It was Athena who had to tell Zeus that he was acting as a coward. And of course, Zeus, having so much pride in himself, was like, yeah, I'm not a coward. No, you watch. I'm gonna actually do this, yeah. Yeah. I got this. Yeah. Okay, buddy. So Zeus uses his lightning bolts, and it actually takes him 100 lightning bolts to not kill this thing. Typhon can't be killed. No way. Zeus was only able to use his lightning bolts to pin him down. That's about as far as he can go. And what he did instead was use a mountain, Mount Etna to be exact, to use as his gravestone and drive him deep into Tartarus's pit, where he could not escape. I love this story. I think it shows a lot about the creativity of the Greeks. Typhon, such a monstrosity of a creature. I mean, it's very fitting that, well, the father of all monsters has to be quite the monster himself. Even more so than his counterparts. I mean, you've seen, creatures like the basilisk or, the chimera, right? Which is the head of a goat, body of a lion, tail of a snake. Or the three-headed dog of Cerberus, or the, 9 heads, 10 heads of a hydra? Quite a ride. So, Typhon had to be the most ugly thing you would have ever seen before. But I find something really jarring about a creature like Typhon, a god like Typhon. And it's his powers. What was he able to do? So let's go ahead and take a look. Typhon had this elementalism power about him. He was able to control earth, wind, and fire. That alone is already very apocalyptic. I mean, being able to throw mountains, use fire from your mouth, and also become one with volcanoes, right? Mount Etna is actually a volcano, if you did not know. And every time it erupted, it was said that Typhon was trying to escape, and that the lava that were coming out of Mount Etna was his attempts. The fire that he was breathing so heavily from his body. And with wind, Typhon was able to use his wings and create storms around him. It's kind of interesting, too, that when we look at Christianity and we see how Satan, who sits in the bottom of the inferno, uses his wings to create an entire blizzard in the ninth circle of hell. Find that, comparison very cool. Typhon was able to also generate poison. Of course, having so many vipers on him, it's no wonder. And he was able to use this to kill deities, known as a divine slayer. Typhon was absolutely immortal, total immunity, and invulnerable. You couldn't kill Typhon. You could only trap him. And that's what they had to do. That's why Zeus needed 100 lightning bolts. One for probably every single one of his wings, for that matter. And something that was the embodiment of chaos itself, right? Stemming from not far from the tree of the protogenoi, literally a direct descendant of chaos. Having that power and having that apocalyptic instinct, he was able to induce what would have been something that would have ended humanity, for sure. And that manipulation of apocalyptic energy is what drove the gods to run away in fear. And of course, with unlimited stamina, by hurling mountains, quite literally, Typhon was understandably fearsome. The last thing, of course, we know from Typhon is the ability to create life as well. Right? All the monsters that we have listed before. I even forgot to mention he gave birth with Echidna to the Nemean lion. All of these are monsters that even the great Hercules or Heracles himself fought. That's all for today. If you like this video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to Homerik for more dark mythology and philosophy like this. I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Take care.